Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the Daily Market Insight for Wednesday, the 5th of July. All right, now, as expected with the US holiday, market's pretty much asleep, right? It's almost like the weekend. Now, the dollar steady before Fed minutes and the yen hovers below intervention zone, right? The key headline there. So we are obviously keeping a very close eye on dollar yen. It is a focal point. The Japanese officials have already sort of notified us of that. Usually they wait for some extreme move. I thought there might be a chance during the US holiday, right? Get a bit more bang for their buck. But I think they'll let the pressure build, make sure everyone's very aware of what's going on, then intervene when they see it being most appropriate. So that's what we've got. As far as going through the Asian day, US equity futures, they're down, but they're only down a fraction, right? And you're seeing no major flow through here. The movements in the currencies are very muted, as you would expect with that US holiday, right? So this is like the Monday morning, and we're waiting for the North American session to get in and really kick us into gear. So just having a quick look at the major instruments out there, global markets, the dollar index, okay, trading mid-range. It does look like it picked itself up off the floor, but to me, this is sort of just trading sideways. If anything, Euro's tested the downside here and starting to sort of head back to the top side. We get a nice resistance line here in gold. Oil, once again, we've got nice trend lines here, sort of just banging away around $70. Equity markets with the holidays, okay, on hold as well. And Bitcoin just sort of sliding sideways. Now, if we just take a quick look at the currencies, just to see where they're at, okay, and this is where I'm thinking that I think it's a bit of an opportunity here. We've seen a little bit of a test here, you know, in thin markets, mind you, of euro downside. I think we could see it head back up towards 109.20. That's because we've seen a little bit of a break high there in sterling, Aussie, even after the no hike yesterday, and Kiwi's worked its way through three levels here. Now, none of them were really seriously hardcore, but I tell you what, the dollar is on the back foot against those pairs. And dollar yen, well, we've got this drifting motion now, right? So the market's not sure what to do. They've tried to getting short a couple of times, hasn't worked. So they're sort of on standby at this point. Dollar Swiss is drifting sort of sideways. And dollar CAD, well, that trend line is now well entrenched. And we have some levels there with oil sort of rallying back above $70. So what do we think, right? Well, there's a few things coming out that may give the market a bit of a wake-up call. If I just get the calendar up. Now, for those traders unaware, the ECB non-monetary policy meeting, now, every, 4 to 6 weeks they meet and we have the full rundown, right? You get the statement, the press conference, the whole 9 yards. In between that, the meetings in between, this is a really good thing, or a good move by the ECB some time ago. They have catch-ups and go, okay, what's happening in the market? Is there anything for us to look at? So quite often you can actually get a little bit more information around what they're thinking in between each meeting, right? That's what this release is. So we may see some change, we may not, but just keep it on your radar, because the two big things coming out today, or the two major events globally, the ECB monetary policy meeting, or not monetary policy meeting, the catch up, and then the FOMC minutes as well, right? Major releases. We're going to find out what's going on. I think the market, we've been seeing some weaker numbers. So it's going to be like since last Friday, and I think it was on Monday. So basically coming into the market here now, what are we going to see from the FOMC? Are they talking 2 rate hikes? 1, 2, maybe 1, and have a look. We want to see what they've got to say, because that'll direct us, because the numbers have been a little bit weaker, and you got to factor that in too with the minutes, right? This is the minutes from their meeting. So we've had releases since then, and maybe the pitch has changed a little bit. So we could see a little bit of activity. If anything else, the US factory orders, another really good historical number. Sort of have a look under the hood, so to speak, of what's happening in the US economy. And that's pretty much it. I would assume barring any sort of major fresh news there out of the ECB, I think we'll have a pretty quiet work into the week on the European side of things. Once we get into the North American session, as I said, we've got factory orders and a couple of other little things coming out, but really the FOMC minutes will dominate. the major instruments, as I was just sort of just showing you on the charts, like the market with these major US holidays, they go into a bit of a pause situation, right? So, and we have seen the Asian session here. If I just go back down here to say, wind this out a touch, right? You get the initial move, say in the North American session, right? And then during the, that's sort of pushing to the top side here, then that momentum fades as we go through the Asian session. Okay, a bit of a square up, comes back down towards support and then reinvigorates the move. So that's what we're seeing, a little bit of a drift off in the Asian session in sterling, also in the Aussie. The Kiwi, I'd have to sort of widen that one out as well just to get a bit of a look. Yeah, a little bit of sideways action. If anything, the Kiwi looks a little bit stronger than most. Now, just before I finished, the yen, just on Yen Watch. Okay, so just having a look at dollar yen here. As I said, like we've got that massive trend. It has had a couple of tries here of trying to go down, but no joy at this stage, right? Drifting sideways. On the dailies, we do have a trend line a little bit lower, which is probably a good entry level, because once they intervene, you could see 1,000 pip move easy, right? Maybe even 1,500. I mean, 15,000 or 10 big figures, which is 1,000. So I'm losing my mind here. So there's a couple of opportunities there. Now, if I look at the yen crosses though, you'll see how strong that Kiwi is compared to a lot of the other instruments, right? They're sort of banging away here around the cloud. Aussie's sort of trying to go with it. And dollar yen and euro yen all sort of uncertain, unclear. Whereas the Kiwi yen, I'll tell you what, it's got a bee in its bonnet and it looks like it's heading north. So anyway, nothing to do yet, just on the yen. Now, you won't get a chance. If they intervene, you will not get a chance. So you need to start planning if you want to be involved in some sort of move. You know, I'd be looking more at the daily charts, looking for an entry, but with a smaller position size and with a decent size stop loss, like 100-point stop loss at least, to get you into the trade, weather any initial volatility as it goes through those levels. Usually when it gets going, it just goes, right? It'll go down like 200 points, come back 20 or 30, go down another 100, come back about 20 or 30, go down another 100. It's pretty consistent, right? A lot of traders, new traders to the market, haven't seen any BOJ action. So just be aware, it's going to be a new thing for you. 142, sort of 65, 67 is that level there on the daily. So anyway, it's worth keeping an eye on, right? To me, they would intervene in the Asian session. It doesn't rule out the Fed doing it for them, but you know what? It's time the BOJ grew up and did it themselves. We'll see how that plays out. Outside of that, guys, it's basically hands on deck. Just wait for the markets to reconnect. This is like, I know it's Tuesday going into Wednesday's trading, but this is the start of the week, right? With that US holiday yesterday. So expect a little bit of activity on the equity markets, see if that translates onto the majors and all the commodities. The treasuries there at the bottom, just sort of not really doing too much. Actually, the Swiss 10 years down 0.23%. But yeah, that's it, guys. There's not much else to be talking about. Just keep an eye on the yen, and we'll see how the euro goes. So I think, I think there's so much news out about what the Fed are going to do. I'm thinking we're going to start to see a little bit of a dollar sell-off, and we'll start to see the euro, sterling, Aussie, Kiwi head topside. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. All the best. Cheerio.